fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got with the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Oh. Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Welcome one, welcome all to Thursday night Speedway night here on SimSpeed TV. You're watching the ASC Championship, Australia's premier online sprint car series. 410 cubic inches of fear in every single driver's right foot wheel well. Really looking forward to this one because we are at the dirt track at Charlotte for round 7 of this 8-round championship, and the championship is certainly looking quite close coming out of last round at Lanier. My name is Reese Gardner, joining me in the commentary box, and myself pronouncing his name correctly for the first time, Nick Skaryev joining me tonight. Nick, I do apologize for getting the pronunciation of your last name wrong the last couple of times, but water under the bridge, and we'll get ready to go for some more dirt racing here at Charlotte.
Yeah, it's all good, Reese. Thank you for having me. Really looking forward to heading to North Carolina. Such a cool part of the world that we're in here on the eastern seaboard of North America.
Yeah, for sure. Charlotte, right in the middle of stock car country. It's one of the spiritual homes of NASCAR. And this dirt track was built in 2000 just across the road from that location over there that you see in the background, the oval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. But starting at the turn of the millennium, this 1,300-foot, 400-meter clay oval was built, and it has since played host to the top series in real-life dirt racing. And once again, we come to it in iRacing for what is sure to be an absolutely mammoth round of the ASC series. Of course, presented by Oceanic Dirt Sim Events and SM Sim Sport. So, coming out of the last round at Lanier, this championship is looking mighty close. The top 10 in the championship is right here, and there should be a caveat to this. This is before the driver's second drop round, so they can drop their 2 worst rounds, and they all get an opportunity to double the points haul of their best results. So that has not been applied just yet. This is the top 10 in the championship as it stands. Lewis Hewitt and Joel Berkeley there in the top 2, and is looking pretty close coming out of Lanier. Joel Berkeley, of course, having a pretty horror run in the last round, which has hurt his championship momentum a little bit.
Yeah, it's exactly right, Reese. We did see him really suffer in that main race, unfortunately. We actually had quite a few of the main pacers not do so well as well. We've had a few movers up. We've had Cameron Dance showing some real consistency now up into 5th place. So the New Zealander absolutely crushing it at the moment.
Yes, indeed. And Brad O'Brien has broken into the top 10 in the championship, as we thought he would after his excellent result at Lanier. And Jacob Dixon also on the verge of the top 10 as well. Richie McLeod, our round 1 feature winner, remaining within the top 7, and only 3 points separating himself and James Rice. So Richie definitely has a couple more chances to break further up into the championship standings before the end of the season.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So we're just catching the session being open there. We've only had 10 or so people put down some registered laps here. We're seeing some pretty early pace there from Jock Goodyear and Brad O'Brien.
Yes, indeed. That's great pace from Goodyear, 12.2 second lap time, and seeing the lines that drivers are using around this circuit. It's a very fast track here, the dirt track at Charlotte, and we were commenting before we went live that it actually seems a lot tinier at first than it actually is. It's quite an expansive oval, incredibly wide, as you can see as we ride on board with Nathan Bennett. There's so much room out there on the circuit.
Yeah, there's quite different to Lanier and some of the earlier rounds here. As we've seen, it was almost if you're going 2 or 3 wide, that's taking up the entire track here. You can see, yeah, that really big width here as we're on board with Nathan Bennett having that mud absolutely flicked up at the moment. So, and just going a little bit too much there to the inside there. He'll be aborting that, as we've seen our Joel Berkeley, the series leader, not out there at the moment there yet, but I'm sure he'll get a few good laps in.
Yeah, for sure. Lewis Hewitt there just getting pipped by Brad O'Brien for second place. We got to remind you all that they are only allowed 2 laps each in practice, the drivers here, so they've got to be very careful that they don't do too many laps, otherwise there's going to be a penalty for them. They're going to be starting from the back in their heats. And Harry Stewart is going to be making as much use of this time as he possibly can. Harry, of course, sitting 4th in the championship, and it looks like he is done for his practice run, only managing 15th so far, but it's definitely some time to be made up. You can already see double lines forming through the corners, a big pile of clay getting thrown up into the middle of the circuit, but some nice clear clay at the very top and at the very bottom. And there's that just shows the couple of ways that you can tackle this track. You can run around the outside, take advantage of the downforce, keep up the momentum of your car through the mid-corner, as we see this Joel Berkeley demonstrating right now. And going a bit further down there in turns 1 and 2, you got to be careful on the inside because of those tyre bundles. You go a bit too far to the inside, you can tag one of those, and you will be sent sky high potentially and have to carry some damage. But looks like with the track being a bit cleaner at the moment, the inside line has the advantage, but we've seen pretty much every round so far, drivers start on the inside, as Joel Berkeley demonstrates what happens when you hit a tyre bundle, start on the inside and gradually move up towards the top of the circuit.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you've really got to watch your placement there with that left-hand front there, as we just see, just as you were saying before, it's so easy to catch the front there. And we obviously see quite a lot of people as well stick a rear wheel right along that back fence and almost grind along the fence there, trying to work that aerodynamics and that high momentum.
Yes, indeed. Checkered flag has fallen in practice. We're now going to move through into the time trials. We got 4 minutes and every driver has another 2 laps with which to set a representative time and set their spot for the heat grids. And just like always, the top 4 of every heat grid is going to be inverted. So where the drivers put themselves in this qualifying session is not a true reflection of where they will start in the heats. One of the first drivers out, Nash Granger, coming across the line and setting a time of 12.8, puts himself in 6th, but immediately down to 8th as more times come in. Ethan Bastian currently the fastest on a 12.5, but we know that there's more time in the track. Of course, Goodyear setting that 12.2 in the practice session, and Goodyear already makes that statement. He lowers the fastest time to a 12.4.
Yeah, Jock Goodyear again with some early pace. So about 2 tenths there left between qualifying and practice. Still a little bit more to go there, and we will see this field tighten up just a little bit more as we're just looking at Nathan Norman putting in another lap there. We'll see where that puts him. 13 seconds, so he is a little bit off the pace at the moment.
Yeah, just a little bit. And running the inside line too. There goes Joel Berkeley straight to the top, a 12.393, and it looks like Goodyear has already run both of his laps. So Mr. Berkeley, championship leader, putting himself in an excellent position right there. What can Bradley Oldfield do, on the other hand, for United Sim Sports? He's had some real doozies of races in the past couple of rounds, suffering some bad luck, but got a pretty good result at Lanier, puts himself into 6th initially, and his second lap will be coming through very soon. Oh, that looks competitive. It's a 12.5 for him. That puts him into 7th, just ahead of Brenton Hobson. And in fact, if you look on the left-hand side of your screen, they have set the exact same time. Just goes to show once again how close times are in dirt speedway. The tracks are short and the cars are fast.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And talking fast, we see Rasmussen going pretty quick at the moment with a 12.606. So that is going to put him somewhere there, as we've seen Brad O'Brien.
Yeah,
Brad O'Brien putting in a blinder of a lap and then aborting pretty quickly there. So Joel Berkeley possibly be pipped there for the top step, as we're just looking at Dylan DeBono race.
Yeah, a little bit of an advantage, I think, to running your time later on in the session when the track's been used a little more. Some more defined lines and a bit more of a grippy groove forming as cars run over it. On board with Dylan DeBono, you can see he is running at the high line, trying to keep the car as straight as possible through the turns, but really having to work that wheel and setting a time of a 13.0. So that's not going to put him anywhere near the front, unfortunately. What about Cody Lawrence? He definitely set the world on fire at Lanier with some fantastic performances throughout the heats and in the feature as well. We're going to have to wait and see what that time is. Looking like another mid-12 there for Cody Lawrence, putting him into, 32nd position. Just, I mean, that's only 3/10. Only 3/10 separating the entirety of the top 40. Incredibly close times.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Bit unfortunate there for Cody Lawrence. Would be hoping to be a little bit further up in the field, so we'll be in with a pretty big task trying to work his way through the heats race.
Yeah, certainly will. Speaking of, checkered flag in qualifying has flown, and it's time to move through into the first heat of the night. And it's going to be a 12-car grid for this initial heat. It's going to be headed up by Devin Butts and Cameron Dance, with Lewis Hewitt second in the championship, starting from third, and Brad O'Brien, fastest driver in the time trials, starting from fourth. Ethan Bastian and Aaron Kelly on the third row, with Dunn and DeBono in seventh and eighth. And I'm pretty sure that Dylan DeBono will be able to work his way up if things go his way. Hayden Vickers and Nathan Bennett round out the top 10. And the final row of our grid is John Schultz and Hayden McCandy. Looking forward to this one. 8 laps is the heat length, and the top 4 go through into the feature as per usual. So we're all going to be focusing on that 4th place transfer spot, because we've seen some massive battles for transfer spots throughout this season.
Yeah, that's all right. We're just waiting on one more car for first position at the moment. I think we're actually, who's just shown up, Cameron Dance, who's not a newcomer to the front row. We have seen him on the front row for quite a last few rounds at the moment, so qualifying pretty strong. Hopefully he can keep the race pace up.
Yeah, certainly starting from a good position to get himself a feature spot, and this being the first heat, the winner of this will potentially have that pole position for the feature, but got to remember we have the random invert for the feature as well. It can be anywhere from positions 1 all the way up to 20, I believe. So can't wait for our old mate, the spinny wheel, to make an appearance to see if Cameron Dance wins this heat and then has to start from something like 19th. That would be quite the awful way for Cameron Dance's night to go, but certainly makes for some interesting racing for us.
That's exactly right. For some, it's definitely the spinny wheel of hope. Some, it's a spinny wheel of death. So hopefully, yeah, you definitely want to be near the front here, as we're just seeing the lights are out now on the pace truck. So we're looking good to go pretty soon.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be in the pits, and now Devin Butts controls the field from pole position. Waiting to see when he decides to go. They pass the control line, and they are away. There was initially a good start from Lewis Hewitt, but he got backed up there by Devin Butts. He keeps first position, and Cameron Dance already attacking for that first spot. Oh, a little bit of contact almost between himself and Devin, but backs out of it just in time, just avoiding the tyre bundles on the inside. There goes Lewis Hewitt now up the inside of Cameron Dance to take second spot. Meanwhile, it is on for fourth, because looks like Aaron Kelly pressuring Ethan Bastian for that final transfer spot. And look out behind them, because Dylan DeBono is on a mission from sixth.
Yeah, just catching off screen, Brad O'Brien, unfortunately, with an early incident, he spun around, but he's back on the track. He did put in some pretty fast pace early on, so quite unfortunate there for Brad O'Brien.
Yeah, certainly is. He's going to have to put in some extra work here tonight. Hewitt taking second position from Dance, who now falls under the attack from Ethan Bastian. Gets the better exit, but bit of contact, and Bastian over-rotates just slightly on the inside. Cameron Dance keeping the car a little bit straighter. He keeps the momentum. Bastian starting to fall off the back of him as Aaron Kelly comes back into contention now for that fourth place spot, but no! He goes a bit too hard into the corner, contact with Dance, and he is now back into fifth place, and contact with Dylan DeBono. Oh, there goes DeBono, tumbling over in the background, and that is going to be his heat over. DeBono, not a happy camper at all, but for the lead, there goes Lewis Hewitt with the slide job on Devon Butts. Can Devon fight back here through the final corner? Looks like he can. Hewitt making contact with Dance there on the inside, and it's a dead heat there between Butts and Hewitt. But that is your top two. And Cameron Dance and Ethan Bastian complete the top four. Big commiserations to Brad O'Brien and Dylan DeBono. The worst luck out of anyone in this race. There's your top 10. It looks like everyone behind Ethan Bastian going to have to work their way up through the consolations. But it's a fast-moving beast, this dirt racing format. We're already into heat number 2. And this is quite the front row. Daniel Gow and Harry Stewart start on that front row, with James Rice in third, with championship leader Joel Berkeley alongside him. Lumsden and Broome on the third row, with Braden Shute and Joe Daly on row 4. Barry and Manif rounding out the top 10. Scott Reed and Zach Howell are your final two cars in this, once more, 12-car grid. Now, Daniel Gow, he had some good performances back at Knoxville. Harry Stewart is looking for a bit of redemption after some bad luck this season. James Rice definitely wants a podium as well. And Joel Berkeley is looking to turn his late season around from the bad luck that he suffered at Lanier. So a lot of drivers have something to fight for here.
Yeah, and we'll just, what an awesome Heat 1, by the way, Reese. That was such a close finish there. So
It was.
Just trying to come down from that at the moment as we're going to the pace lap, but things are about to heat up pretty quickly there as we definitely fourth position, Joel Berkeley, obviously qualifying fastest and championship leader, so he'll be one that we'll be keeping an eye on quite a lot as well. So a really stacked field we have here in Heat 2.
Yeah, we certainly do, and I would agree. The racing in Heat 1 was remarkably clean, and I think a lot of that is owed to the width of this track. There's an awful lot of room for tight racing, and due to the length and width of the circuit, you're flat out almost the whole way around, so you have a nice, good amount of space to play with. Pace truck is going to pull into the pits momentarily, and we will get a start. Daniel Gow starting on the inside. Harry Stewart is going to have to match up to him. Got to keep an eye out for that initial throttle application when the green flag flies. In comes the pace truck. Let's see who gets the best start out of everyone here in Heat 2. What can James Rice and Joel Berkeley do off the second row? It looks like they haven't been able to respond to Daniel Gow, and slight problem getting off the line there for Max Lumsden, but they are away and cleanly to boot. James Rice losing momentum through the inside. Berkeley into the wall and immediately gets the position back. Berkeley hitting the wall again. It looks like this fourth spot is under major threat here because Mitchell Broome now is looking to take advantage. There's a 3-car pile-up at the back. Zach Howell, Ashton Manif, and Josh Barry all involved in that, so they are all at the back of the grid. Daniel Gow continues to lead, but this fourth place battle is something special right here. Mitchell Broome versus Joel Berkeley versus James Rice, and Broome chucking it in there, almost taking them out, but just avoiding it.
Yeah, definitely not great news there for Joel Berkeley. He'll want a clean run here.
Oh no, there he goes! There goes Joel Berkeley. Just tagged the wall on the entry and took Mitchell Broome with him. So they've put themselves out of the transfer spot for sure. It's now a battle between Max Lumsden and Braden Shute for fourth place.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Reese. Daniel Gow getting a great run on the field at the moment. Definitely put a bit of gap there as well to Harry Stewart as well. Almost in no man's land, but as we can see here, that transfer spot is really under a lot of pressure at the moment with Max Lumsden and Braden Shute.
Yeah, it certainly is. Looks like Lumsden has managed to secure the position for the time being. They've got to watch out for Joe Daly behind them. And there goes the slide job attempt from Braden Shute. Can he park it in front of Lumsden? No, just leaves him enough space around the outside. It is the final lap, though. And Daniel Gow is going to come through to take victory, but fourth place under threat. There goes Gow, Stewart, and Rice across the line, and it looks like Max Lumsden is going to be the one transferring straight through into the feature. Braden Shute, Joe Daly, and everyone behind them, on the other hand, have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, also with someone with a lot of work to do, as we just saw before, Joel Berkeley.
Yes, indeed. Only getting 8th place in that one. So he'll want the night to go a little bit better from here on out. He just seemed to have a bit of trouble keeping it out of the wall on the outside. Hopefully, he'll be able to sort out those issues and he'll be able to get the result that he needs. Zach Howell and Scott Reed, I believe, not taking the start there. But Howell, definitely the worst to come out of that heat. It's time for Heat 3 then. On the first row, it's Lockie Beattie and Bradley Oldfield. Caton Brown and Clayton Tilley on the second row. Clayton Davies and Nathan Norman, 5th and 6th. Callum Davidson and Damian Rasmussen, 7th and 8th. Now, those are two drivers I'll really be looking out for. Carl Williams and Cam Taylor in 9th and 10th. 11 cars in this one. The final grid spot taken up by Nash Granger. I'm looking. The drivers that jump out to me from this one, certainly looking for Clayton Tilley. He had a great run at Lanier, finished 3rd in the feature to boot. So he's got a bit of form to back up, starting from 4th place. But I reckon pretty much all of the drivers in this heat have a chance of taking victory here. We know what skill Oldfield, Brown, and Beattie have. We also know that Damian Rasmussen is certainly a good steerer in a sprint car too.
Yeah, it's exactly right, Reece. Rasmussen just not that strong during qualifying, unfortunately. We have seen him a little bit further up the field, usually in some of the earlier rounds, so he'll definitely be coming in through the back of the field pretty quickly.
That he will. Lockie Beattie leaving a bit of a gap to the pace truck here. We'll wait for it to pull in, and then it's another half a lap that these drivers have to go through at barely 50 or 60 kilometers an hour. You can tell that Bradley Oldfield is chomping at the bit to get going here, but he has to wait for Lockie Beattie. He calls the start, and it looks like a bit of an early start there from Beattie. He gets a great start, but that was a concertina effect, and looked like coming out the worst from that was Clayton Tilley. Lost all of that momentum, and now he's fighting at the back with Nash Granger, but already trying to make moves forward. As, oh my goodness, that was a big hit there. That was Lockie Beattie, our P1 sitter, getting bumped back into the midfield. So now it's a tight top 3 battle between Clayton Davies, Caden Brown, and Bradley Oldfield. They are all together on track, with Caden and Bradley up on the outside. Clayton Davies seems to be a fan of that inside line.
Yeah, we just see Caden Brown going around the outside at the moment, trying to make a break here from the rest of the field, but we just see Cam Taylor pushing really hard for that transfer spot there, Reece.
Yes, indeed. Damian Rasmussen currently holds the position, but Taylor has got a door open there on the inside. Trying the slide job. Can he maintain the momentum? Oh, Damian Rasmussen just with the better exit. But I tell you what, Cam Taylor with more momentum into that next turn. He managed to slot in front of Rasmussen and gain the transfer spot. So now Rasmussen is going to have to look for a move up the inside himself. That seems to be the way to do it. But the top two side by side, Bradley Oldfield and Caden Brown, fighting incredibly hard for this heat win. And they're actually trading positions corner to corner to corner. Lovely to see.
Yeah, Oldfield coming up through the inside there, so great overtaking. He's just holding Oldfield off at the moment. Oldfield just tucking in behind there. We're coming onto the final lap there, Reece.
Yeah, and it's a very tight battle between Lockie Beattie, Damian Rasmussen, and Clayton Tilley. All of these drivers were having big issues in the initial start of the heat, but Caden Brown taking victory from Bradley Oldfield. An excellent run there. and Clayton Davies and Cam Taylor taking up the 2 final spots. Clayton Tilley managed to fight his way back up into 5th in the midst of all of that, but not enough, missing out by 5/10. It was a very close finish between himself and Lockie Beattie. Callum Davidson, a retirement from this one. It's a bit of a shame to see. Time then for Heat 4, and this is going to be the final heat of the night before we get into the consolations. Richie McLeod, round 1 feature winner, starts from first alongside Brenton Hobson, who once again, thanks to Hobbo88.com, is providing $10 prize money to the 6th place finisher in the feature. Daniel Hartigan, 3rd place in the championship, starts from 3rd in this heat. Jock Goodyear, who set the fastest time in practice, starting from 4th. Dixon and Hall on the 3rd row, with Tyler Stevenson and Cody Lawrence from row 4. Corey Steinhauser brings the Speedway Memes Motorsports car out from 9th place, with Jaden Russell in 10th, and Scott Griffiths, the final car on this grid for Synergy Sim Racing. I'm really looking forward to this one because Richie McLeod and Brenton Hobson are 2 drivers that have the potential to be taking wins, but luck doesn't always seem to fall their way. They are great, consistent drivers, though, where they may lack in pace. But Jock Goodyear and Daniel Hartigan behind them, definitely ones to look out for when it comes to pace.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Hobbo, definitely a bit of a crowded favourite. Yeah, we've just seen a few last rounds just, small incidents, but he has been pretty strong in qualifying. Just seen him pick up the pace now as the pace truck pulls in.
Yes, indeed. So Richie McLeod is going to be leading them away here. Can Brenton Hobson respond appropriately to the initial throttle application? Daniel Hartigan right on it there, gets the best run possible on Hobson, who gets quite a bad start side by side with Goodyear, and immediately there goes Jacob Dixon trying to go up the inside in the yellow car. But now it's Hartigan versus Hobson for that first place, and Hartigan immediately through on Richie McLeod, fighting for the top 2 and top 3 once again. Jock Goodyear advancing forward himself. Brenton Hobson is now in the final transfer spot, and he may just start coming under threat from the likes of Jacob Dixon and Aiden Hall, but it looks like he is keeping the pace. No, he's not. Jacob Dixon now alongside him. This is going to be tough here for Hobbo, but Richie McLeod is being allowed to get away, and that's contact between Dixon and Hobbo, and Brenton Hobson spins off the circuit. A huge shame for the number 88, but now it's Jacob Dixon who sits in that 4th place transfer spot under big threat from Jaden Russell, who tries the slide job along with Aiden Hall, but they are unsuccessful. Richie McLeod is being allowed to get away here.
Yeah, Richie McLeod putting a pretty early gap now, so the 1, 2, 3 all look pretty safe, as well as that transfer spot also looking pretty safe now. Very unfortunate there for Brenton Hobson. We could see he was only holding on for dear life as we just see him come over the line once again. So Hartigan putting in a bit of pace now. He's reeled back that half a second, almost to now 2/10.
Yeah, but he's getting caught up on the slick line there, going down to the inside on the final lap, but Richie McLeod with the better exit round the outside. One more chance for Daniel Hartigan to try and take victory, but it's gone. Richie McLeod takes that heat victory. Daniel Hartigan in 2nd, Jock Goodyear finishes in 3rd, and Jacob Dixon in 4th, but I think with a little bit of guilt there over the contact with Brenton Hobson. So Aiden Hall, Cody Lawrence, Jaden Russell, Tyler Stevenson, Corey Steinhauser, and Scott Griffiths, your top 10. And Brenton Hobson bringing up the rear 1 lap down. It's a big shame for Hobbo. He could certainly have finished in that top 4. But now we're going to get an extra chance to see if he can vault himself forward, along with everyone else here in the C-Main. Stevenson and Bennett are going to start from the first row, with Mitchell Broom and Nash Granger in 3rd and 4th, Steinhauser and McCandy, and then Manif and Williams, with Griffiths and O'Brien rounding out the top 10. 15-car grid here in the C-Main. Zach Howell, Callum Davidson starting from 11th and 12th. Brenton Hobson and Dylan DeBono sharing the 7th row there. 2 drivers that really got shafted in their heats, and Scott Reed, the final car on the grid, but we're not too sure if he's going to make the grid here. Either way, this This is going to be quite the interesting C main because the top 4 from this one transfer through to the B main. Everyone else is going to go home.
Yeah, that's exactly right there, Reese. So hopefully maybe Hobbo can keep pretty sharp. He was just in that heat that we've has just finished up. Steve Scott Reed also not making his heat, but he is here now, thankfully. So hopefully he can get a bit of pace here in the C main.
Yeah, certainly. It'll be the first time we've seen Scott Reed tonight, and looks like flying in formation, Stevenson and Bennett, the teammates. That's awesome to see, and they definitely have one of the most striking liveries of any car in the field here tonight. Beautiful stuff. I got to say, just about every paint in this series is something special. If you want good paint jobs, go to Dirt Speedway because these guys really pull out the stops when it comes to graphic design, making their cars look as cool as possible. In comes the pace truck, so Tyler Stevenson and Nathan Bennett, they'll likely be coordinating the start with each other, see if they can get the best start possible. Through the control line, let's see who gets the best launch. Stevenson and Bennett. Well, looks like Nathan Bennett was unable to get the momentum down, immediately losing 2 spots there off the line. Broom and Steinhauser threw on him, but he's still in the final transfer spot. Can he protect it from Nash Granger and Carl Williams? Looking like Nash Granger is the one who's really threatening Nathan Bennett at the moment, but there is a crash further down in the back. Brad O'Brien with more bad luck there. Hayden McCandy involved as well, and Dylan DeBono smashed all the way up into the wall. You see him briefly there in the background. So Dylan DeBono's night going from bad to worse. I really do have sympathy for Dylan. He does not deserve the bad luck that he is having, but it is really tight here for the top 6. Ashton Manif just showing how little margin for error there is up on the top line, and that's contact, and there we go. That's created a massive pile up.
Yeah, and we've just seen a concertina on the next corner as well, but them holding steady there. Unfortunately, we won't be able to catch a replay of that until potentially after this, but we're just on board. That has separated the field a little bit. There's 1 second now between 4th and 5th, so Brad O'Brien may struggle now to try and fight for that transfer spot.
Carl Williams, Dylan DeBono, and Nathan Bennett all retiring from the C main. We're going to see them go home, but Brad O'Brien, who we've just been looking at, we thought that he was out of this, but thanks to that crash, he's back in contention for the transfer spot. Nash Granger currently holds it. Can O'Brien put himself up the inside? He's really a fan of that inside line, but a bit too much rotation. He might have to start working the middle or the outside if he wants to gain that momentum. Have a look at that. He ran the middle through the turn there, and he's really starting to come up on the back of Granger now. This is awesome. Callum Davidson is starting to come into this as well. Corey Steinhauser, meanwhile, he's been backed into these guys, and there's contact between O'Brien and Steinhauser. But that looks like O'Brien now in the transfer spot. Steinhauser down to 5th and having to defend now against Callum Davidson. But Brad O'Brien, a magnificent turn of pace. He's going to almost pass Mitchell Broom here for 2nd.
Yeah, he's currently the fastest on track by quite a lot, and he's been putting in consistently fast laps, so he's definitely found some confidence somewhere there. Up in a 2nd place now.
Another crash there. Callum Davidson and Corey Steinhauser have come together, and I think that's going to be Steinhauser out of this as well. Big commiserations to him. But this 12 lapper is now on its final lap, and Tyler Stevenson coming across the line. Is Hobbo going to get through? Oh, no, he's not. Almost passing Nash Granger there for the final transfer spot, but Brad O'Brien with a magnificent recovery to 2nd there. Nash Granger completing the podium. Great drive from Tyler Stevenson, the winner as well. Barely put a foot wrong all race, but Mitchell Broom takes that final transfer spot, and poor Brenton Hobson, he misses out on a spot in the final race of the night by just 0.2. And every other driver you see on screen here is unfortunately going to go home. But definitely, I think Nathan Bennett, Carl Williams, and Dylan DeBono will be hoping for a lot better from that one, as would Davidson, Steinhauser, and Griffiths. But that is life in Dirt Speedway. We're through now into the B main, and it's Aaron Kelly and Braden Shute on the front row with Tilly and Hall behind them. Cooper Dunn and Joe Daly on row 3, with Lockie Beattie and Cody Lawrence starting the 55 from position 8. John Schultz and Josh Barry rounding out the top 10. 19 cars here today, and the top 8 transfer through to the feature. Rasmussen and Russell starting just outside the top 10. 13th and 14th, it's Hayden Vickers and Joel Berkeley. Going to have to wait and see what he can do from here. But Nathan Norman, Tyler Stevenson, Brad O'Brien, Nash Granger, and Mitchell Broom are rounding out your field here tonight. The driver that I think most people will be watching here, Nick, is Joel Berkeley. Starting from 14th, he has to advance forward 7 places if he wants a spot in the feature.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So we've seen again having some pretty bad luck with some incidents, and yeah, you can only imagine that 14th position as well is going to be right in the thick of it as well. So it'd be quite tricky to keep his nose clean.
Yeah, it will be quite tricky. He's starting on the inside though. It seems no. My apologies. He is starting on the outside, which means he's going to become reacquainted with his old friend the wall pretty quickly if he puts a foot wrong. In comes the pace truck then. Aaron Kelly is going to lead them away. Slight technical issues for the drivers there up at the front, but Shute and Kelly going to lead them away here. And it looks like it's a bit of an early start there from Aaron Kelly. He was inching forward and actually caught out Braden Shute. He's lost 3 spots and potentially 4 now off the start. Clayton Tilley, though, right on it and going for the lead on Aaron Kelly. And oh my goodness, there's a car in the wall, 2 cars in the wall. Aiden Hall and Cody Lawrence. Cody Lawrence is out now, but Clayton Tilley going for the move once again on Aaron Kelly as it's all on here in the back. Super close for the transfer spot. More contact. Drivers being elbowed out of the way. Goodness me, I almost can't keep track of what's going on here. Nathan Norman held the transfer spot across the line, but it looks like Hayden Vickers is potentially going to be the one holding it now.
Yeah, and there's still a few big names there. Rasmussen and Beattie and Norman all trying to fight here for this transfer spot. So pretty tight here at the moment, as it looks like Aaron Kelly is starting to wheel in Clayton Tilley there for the front. Braden Shute a little bit further back here as we're just seeing Nathan Norman.
Yes, indeed. Norman fighting there for 6th and 7th spot with Josh Barry. Joel Berkeley has made his way up into 11th place. He's got 3 more positions he needs to make up in order to get into the feature. Brad O'Brien now has made it into 8th place after starting near the back. He's got a great turn of pace here late in the night. Fantastic stuff from Aaron. But it's on for 4th and 5th. John Schultz and Damian Rasmussen trading places here through the corners. Rasmussen trying to work a slightly more inside line than John Schultz, but not helping him. Certainly helping Brad O'Brien, who's really advancing on these guys. And it looks like Joel Berkeley is now up almost into the transfer spot, fighting with Lockie Beattie now, and it looks like he's through.
Yeah, absolute brilliant drive there by Joel Berkeley. You could see him just powering through the field, staying high up on that wall there. So he's just got Brad O'Brien and Rasmussen just sitting in front of him at the moment.
Oh, that was a mistake for Rasmussen. Almost concertinaed O'Brien back into Berkeley there, but no harm, no foul for now. Oh no, bit of contact there. Rasmussen getting whacked by Brad O'Brien on the outside. And this is potentially going to open an attack from Joel Berkeley on the outside and Nathan Norman on the inside. Remember, these guys are fighting in the lower reaches of the transfer spot, and Lockie Beattie has been given a lifeline there in the number 16. He could potentially grab it.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It's still so close at the moment, as we've seen 1st and 2nd place have really pulled away. These battling between these cars are really starting to slow themselves up there.
Nathan Norman is currently in the transfer spot and passing Damian Rasmussen. Rasmussen now in that 8th spot. Josh Barry with a huge lunge there you saw on Lockie Beattie, trying to get through and stake his claim for a spot in the feature, but they all come together now. All of them. Lockie Beattie is going to be out thanks to that, and Damian Rasmussen almost knocked into a spin as we are white flag now. Nathan Norman could potentially pass him back here. Oh my goodness, there goes Damian Rasmussen out of the transfer spot. It's all gone wrong on the final lap. Clayton Tilley has taken victory. It's Kelly and O'Brien, your top three. Nathan Norman in fourth, Braden Shooten fifth, Joel Berkeley finishing in sixth, with Hayden Vickers holding on for seventh, and Damian Rasmussen, it looks like, just escaping with that eighth spot. But it was incredibly close, only 0.3 between himself and Josh Barry for that one. But Barry, Stevenson, and everyone behind them that you see on screen are going to be going home. A big shame for a lot of drivers in this B main. Does seem like the width of this track invites some pretty crazy moves that can definitely go wrong. But we're now into the warm-up session as we take a look at the final page of results here. I'll tell you what, Lockie Beattie will definitely be dirty after that one. He was in contention for the top 8 all the way through, as was Mitchell Broom. But now it's time for our mate, the spinny wheel, to make an appearance. Now, I'm really looking forward to seeing how much of the grid is going to be inverted here. Jay has his finger on the button, our director. And we're hearing that there are a couple of technical issues that are just being sorted out. So we're going to wait and see if the spinning wheel does spin, or we'll have to go to our random number generator.
Yeah, it might need a bit more WD-40, unfortunately, for that spinny wheel. So we'll pack it away for tonight.
Bit squeaky, I think, but we'll still wait and see. We have an idea of what the grid for the feature would look like without the inversion. As it stands, Devin Butts and Daniel Gow would be your front row if there was no inversion, which is the best start, I think, for both of those drivers this season. It's actually quite a strange field without the invert, but I can't wait to see what we end up doing here. Okay, so the spinning wheel making its second appearance as the drivers go out on track in the warm-up. There we go. Spinny, spinny, spinny. Let's see which one it lands on. Position 7. So that means Bradley Oldfield is going to be your pole sitter, with Harry Stewart in second, Hewitt third, McLeod fourth, Caden Brown fifth, Daniel Gow sixth, and Devin Butts starting from 7th place. Now, I certainly think Harry Stewart and Lewis Hewitt are going to take massive advantage of that, as would Oldfield.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, 7, not too much of a mix there. We've seen in the past some pretty big inversions there. So 7 should be pretty safe. And yeah, great work there for Bradley Oldfield. We're just catching him out on track at the moment with a bit of early pace. So he's definitely where he wants to be.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, in terms of track conditions, usually the drivers get a chance to vote on whether or not to reset the track in the warm-up session, and it looks like they've voted to not reset it. So we're going to have a very slick track here coming into the feature, which is certainly going to make for some very small margins for error out there on track. I mean, because this circuit is so fast, you can always adjust the big T-tray wing on top of the car, put it as far back as you can, and make sure that the rear end of the car is a bit more stable on these slick circuits, but it's still quite twitchy.
Yeah, it's exactly right there. So, yeah, we saw a few of the guys just testing out and showing off how that wing works, as we've seen a few. I know Hobbo was doing it a little bit before, sitting behind the pace truck there, so pretty advanced aerodynamics that they have on these sprint cars to contain that massive engine, 410 cubic inch V8 that they have under the hood there.
Yeah, that 410 cubic inch V8 produces around about 900 horsepower at peak output, which really makes for some fast acceleration. And if you are new to sprint car racing, gear shifting is definitely not a thing, because these cars only have one forward gear. So It's all about your throttle application, all about managing the brakes, managing the steering, keeping the car as straight as possible through these very fast turns. And I tell you what, we look at the track image behind here, and I can see down in the bottom right, there is a strip of fresh clay down there on the inside, which I would expect a lot of drivers to use in the feature.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They're pretty good track conditions as we got here. So, but yeah, just as you were saying before, the sprint cars are pretty difficult to corner around. I'm quite looking forward to Max Bance coming out pretty soon, which does involve the sprint car here, which we'll hear your voice over that one as well, Reese.
Yeah, for sure. The Max Bance Open, the 11th running. Jake Sperry and I run that event every week 13, and the goal is to be the stupidest hosted event on iRacing. We're taking the 410 sprint car to Le Mans Historic, so good luck. So this grid that you're seeing here, not a reflection of how the drivers are actually going to start. And it looks like it's completely... There we go. That's better. So without the invert, Butts, Gow, Brown, McLeod, Hewitt, Stewart, and Oldfield, your top 7. Just invert all of those. Bradley Oldfield and Harry Stewart are on the front row. But behind them, Daniel Hardigan's going to start from 8th, with Cameron Dance and James Rice rounding out the top 10. Clayton Davies and Jock Goodyear are going to start from 11th and 12th, with Ethan Bastian and Max Lumsden on the 7th row. Cam Taylor and Jacob Dixon on row 8. Clayton Tilley and Aaron Kelly in 17th and 18th. The top 20 rounded out by Brad O'Brien and Nathan Norman. Both of those guys are going to work hard in this one, but have a look at the 11th row. Braden Shute and Joel Berkeley starting on the second last row. Not the right spot for the championship leader to be starting from, with Hayden Vickers and Damian Rasmussen bringing up the rear in the final 2 spots.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty crazy from the back there. We see Jock and Cameron Dance both with some pretty early practice pace. Brad O'Brien and Joel Berkeley with some insanely good race pace, as we saw in the in that B main. So, yeah, we're in for a really good one.
We certainly are. And reminder, if you are new to the ASC series, we're going to have a manual pace lap once the pace truck has pulled in. The official iRacing green flag flies, but this is the cue for the drivers to invert their positions. And right up there you see lap 1 of 31. Basically means that this is the first racing lap. It's a manual lap counter that we're using in this series, and the aim is to get 30 green flag laps here in the A main, but it looks like that particular inversion is done, and we're about to get a start here. So it's Bradley Oldfield. He's chosen the outside for the start alongside his teammate Harry Stewart, and it's a consistent start from the both of them. Stewart right to the inside, Oldfield right to the outside, with Richie McLeod and Lewis Hewitt tiptoeing over the slick lines right there in the middle of the circuit. Pretty clean start from everyone so far, just trying to find their own little spaces out on the circuit. Joel Berkeley has already made himself up into 20th place, and it looked like some technical issues there for Daniel Hartigan. Wait to see if he reappears. Harry Stewart is working that inside beautifully at the moment, as Oldfield is working the outside really nicely too. Hartigan has got his hands full there with Lewis Hewitt right in front of him and Richie McLeod on the inside. Hartigan tries to split the two, but there's just no grip there on the slick.
Yeah, it's exactly right. I was just looking a little bit further back in the field. So, yeah, we have had our championship leader advance through a little bit, but we have seen Brad O'Brien slip slightly back at the moment. So under a lot of pressure at the moment, quite surrounded by cars there. Everyone seems to be kind of holding pretty cleanly at the moment. No one's able to really change from inside to outside there, Reese.
Nah, Clayton Davies currently is heading up the big pack there in 7th place, but a lot of positions being traded all throughout. Caden Brown just making his way in front of them. Devin Butts is trying his best. And we have a new leader, meanwhile. Looks like Lewis Hewitt. Oh, my goodness. Have a look at that. And the yellow flag is out. Looks like there's been an incident towards the back of the field. But looks like Daniel Hartigan might have just taken that first position from Lewis Hewitt before the caution came out.
Yeah, didn't really catch what happened there to Jacob Dixon, so not a novice to a bit of elbowing. We did see him quite a lot out there in the earlier heat there. Not too sure what's caused that, but yeah, definitely off on the inside of there. So a bit unfortunate there for Jacob Dixon. He'll be able to rejoin in the back there. So we're just under yellow.
All right, well, let's see what happened to him here. Oh, yeah, it was contact with a United car. James Rice just making his way through and trying to go to the inside, which bounced Jacob Dixon off the circuit. So, fair enough. But Daniel Hardigan, having just nabbed the lead from Lewis Hewitt, a great advance through from him, starting from 8th, outside the inversion, we might add. He's had a mammoth run in those first 8 or so laps.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We've really shown how Hardigan is such a mainstay here in the ASC Championship. Also, holding on pretty well, Bradley Oldfield, even though starting second, we haven't really seen that outside line be too favourable as the pace truck just pulls off now.
Yes, indeed. We're going to get a restart here. Double file, Hewitt versus Hardigan on the front row, and Hardigan leaves it a bit. Everyone crams up behind him, and through goes Harry Stewart on the inside, just escaping contact there from Daniel Gow. But now Hewitt and Hardigan fighting for the top 2 positions. Bradley Oldfield feeding the right rear to the wall at every opportunity to try and stay with his teammate Stewart on the inside. Hardigan and Hewitt both getting right into the wall. They are running the absolute finest margin up there. Look at this view from Lewis Hewitt's front axle. You really get a sense for how bumpy it is up at the top now. All of the ruts forming in the clay as the cars have driven over it over the course of the night.
Yeah, Hewitt just keeping it off the wall there, so millimetre perfect, as we've just seen Devon Butts just on that restart there, and there's been a bit of an incident at the back there, Reese.
Yeah, looks like it was Richie McLeod who got into the wall. Just got fed by another car, and he's gone all the way to the back of the grid now. He's very slow, and he's actually pulling off the circuit. I think Richie McLeod is going to retire from this feature. That would be a real shame for him. But Joel Berkeley has advanced through now into the top 10 and is fighting now with those 9th and 10th place runners. The number 3 there of Caden Brown on his outside.
Yeah, we're just seeing also, Jock Good, just filing up on a few positions at the moment. But yeah, Joel Berkeley just picking him off one by one at the moment.
Oh, there we go. Another caution out, and it's Brad O'Brien and Nathan Norman involved in that one. Apologies for the interruption, Nick, but that was certainly not what either driver would have wanted in that regard, and actually looks like it was started by Aaron Kelly, who got a bit of a slide on at the exit. You see him in the green car there up at the top of the circuit. He just gets that slide on, and then Constantine is into them, and Brad O'Brien had absolutely nowhere to go. Big shame for him.
Yeah, Brad O'Brien, very unfortunate there, was showing some really big pace there in the B main. This could be almost a retirement for him. He'll be starting from the back again if he chooses to rejoin.
Well then, down in 22nd, there's still 23 cars running. We have one retirement in the form of Richie McLeod. Daniel Hardigan still holds on to the race lead from Lewis Hewitt, and Bradley Oldfield holding on to 3rd place from Harry Stewart. So that is your top 4, but we could see that the fighting from 5th place back was certainly something to watch, and can't wait to see what the drivers serve up for us on this next restart. We're almost coming through to half race distance too, so this is the thing that I love the most about dirt racing. It's just so quick. Everything goes by in the blink of an eye, but there's still so much to keep track of.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And we've just seen this will bring the field back together again. Perfect for Joel Berkeley with these safety cars, because it's going to help him shuffle up the field even more. Pace truck just pulling off now.
Yep, and we're going to get a green flag here. Hardigan goes early. big slide off the start, and it looks like Bradley Oldfield trying to get the advantage over Lewis Hewitt. He's down on the inside, and Harry Stewart now swapping to the outside in the Sister United car. Hewitt managing to maintain the momentum, but Daniel Gow now is threatening Mr. Stewart for 4th place, and Bradley Oldfield losing a bit of momentum there off the start-finish stretch. You can just see how much the drivers are struggling for grip through these corners. Oh my goodness, big hit there between Jock Goodyear along with Clayton Davies and Cameron Dance, but they all managed to get away with it. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, I thought for sure there'd be a caution there. Caden Brown just getting bumped out of the way.
Yeah, seeing such a good run there from Jock Goodyear and Cameron Dance back down to 9th. He was as high as 6th at the moment, so they're all in pretty tight there. Oh, we've just seen that Daniel Gow hit the wall, keeping it straight there.
Contact with Jock Goodyear. Oh no. Lewis Hewitt, it looks like, has had a problem, and quite a few other drivers have had a problem too. Aaron Kelly, Clayton Tilley, and Caden Brown again at the back of the grid. Motum simulation replay. Let's see what happened to Lewis Hewitt here. Running in second behind Daniel Hardigan. What happened to him? Did he just hit the wall on the exit? Oh, yeah, a little bit of a tap, and then, the wall sucked him in, and there was nothing he could do on his side. Remember, Hewitt running second in the championship, and fortunately he escaped out, but Clayton Tilley there with the other car having to back up, I think. All of that.
Yes, sorry to interrupt you there, Reese. Absolutely devastated there for Lewis Hewitt running second. So he's pulled the pin pretty quickly there and was lucky to escape out before causing even a bigger incident there. So we're just looking back now at Caden Brown and 51 of Clayton Tilley. Bit of an incident as well. So everyone a little bit on edge at the moment. Just trying to find their groove at the moment. But yeah, with these safety cars, it's really bunching everyone back together again.
Yeah, it looked like both Tilley and Brown had not much they could do coming into that crash. But Joel Berkeley has been one of the big beneficiaries out of all of this. He is now up into 3rd, and it looks like with Lewis Hewitt retiring from the race, he is going to remain in the championship lead. We have a green flag once again, and Berkeley moves to the inside to try and take second from Harry Stewart. Way down to the inside, way up to the outside. It's the dichotomy of lines once again. And there goes Berkeley trying to fire it in, but loses all the momentum there and is back into 3rd under threat from Bradley Oldfield. Jock Goodyear right behind them as well. Daniel Hardigan starting to gap Harry Stewart in the lead. But Cameron Dance, it looks like, trying to make some moves up here further into the top 6. Loses momentum once again in the mid-corner, and that allows Clayton Davies through.
Yeah, and you'd almost think with this top 3 as well, Joel Berkeley, Jock Goodyear just slipping down at the moment. Everyone's just holding it together at the moment.
That was Jacob Dixon and Cam Taylor coming together there, and Dixon in the yellow car down on the inside, just escaping with oh my goodness, there we go, that's another caution. That's the number 22 of Daniel Gow and Damian Rasmussen as well coming together just off the exit. So as we reach lap 21, we have another caution and another replay to dissect. So let's see what happened to Rasmussen and company. And both of these guys running a car 22. So it's my director Jay telling us that there's actually 3 car 22s in this race, as we see Daniel Gow was already stopped there at the top of the circuit when Rasmussen came in. So be interested to see what happened to Rasmussen before that point. The other 22, of course, is Jock Goodyear, who currently sits in 5th place. So that was a very short restart. Hopefully we can see a bit cleaner racing here in the last 10 laps. Update on retirements. Clayton Tilley and Daniel Gow are now both out of this one. And I'm looking at Aaron Kelly at the back of the field. He is crabbing something fierce. That car is pointed in a very odd direction, and he's having to hold the steering wheel at something like 90 degrees to keep it straight.
Yeah, not too sure what's going on there. So, yeah, it looks like some pretty big damage there to the steering arms of that sprint car. You can see the feedback from the wheels. So thankfully being at the back of the pack there, because he'd almost be a sitting duck as they restart. They're all sitting single file at the moment there.
Yep, single file restart because of back-to-back cautions. Them's the rules. So Daniel Hardigan controls the pace there and goes, but it looks like he hasn't quite been able to get his way as well as he wanted to. Harry Stewart, oh my goodness, Joel Berkeley there gets into the back of Stewart, and it looks like Oldfield and Goodyear have come together as well. It's going to be another single file restart, I reckon. It looks like Jock Goodyear knocked all the way back into the lower midfield as a result of that, but no, actually making his way back further up, hasn't lost too many positions. Let's dissect that then. So Jock Goodyear's start, as we came onto the start-finish straight, you see Joel Berkeley on the inside there, but just gets into the back of Harry Stewart, and then that knocks him back into Oldfield and Goodyear.
Yeah, you could see Berkeley there being almost trapped in there by a few cars. Thankfully, not losing too many more positions. That has dropped him down in 5th place, but yeah, big loser there out of that. Jock Goodyear down in, I think it was 11th or so. So just seeing where he is in the field at the moment, I think he might get the chance to shuffle back up there.
Yeah, it looks to me like he's resumed position in 3rd. So Jock Goodyear got away with it then. Very fortunate, but Joel Berkeley knocked back into 5th. He doesn't have to worry too much, though, because his main championship rival, Lewis Hewitt, is now out of this race. But Daniel Hardigan has been the one to rise above everything. He's maintained this lead pretty much from the get-go when he first got it early on in the race. And Harry Stewart holding on very nicely for 2nd. Can Jock Goodyear sneak through and take victory in these final 10 laps of the race? It's another single file restart, and the pace truck pulls in.
Yeah, hoping for a clean one. We did see Hardigan as he pulled past that control line, did give the wall a bit of a smack, so pulling away cleanly now.
Yeah, and going quite early, right in the middle of 3 and 4. And keeping the gap going over Harry Stewart. Jock Goodyear gets into the wall. That leaves him open to attacks from Davies and Mr. Berkeley. They both get through on him. Joel Berkeley slots in ahead of Clayton Davies. Can Jock Goodyear come back on them on the inside? Yes, he can, but again, it's all about the momentum. Joel Berkeley just scythes his way back up the inside, and it looks like this is going to secure that position for him, for now at least. So Berkeley, after starting near the back, now up into 3rd. Daniel Hardigan has the mother of all leads right now, as it is on for 2nd place back. There goes Goodyear. Oh, just cutting off Braden Chute. Coming into turns 3 and 4. Clayton Davies starting to get away from him here. Harry Stewart, meanwhile, switching back down to the inside, and it looks like he's finding a little bit of pace there.
Yeah, we're just seeing right up against Joel Berkeley at the moment, so just seeing where they're sitting at the moment. But what a drive there by Clayton Davies, finding some pretty tough drivers at the moment, holding pretty well there in 4th place.
Yeah, and it looks like he'll be threatening 3rd. He's actually seems like it has a very good car in these final few laps. Cameron Dance, meanwhile, trying to nab 5th place from Braden Chute. With Jock Goodyear, it seems getting knocked even further back now. Actually, where has Goodyear gone? He's all the way back down into 18th, and it looks like he's out. He was just upside down, was Jock Goodyear, but that didn't bring out the caution. So there's been an incident somewhere that unfortunately we've missed. We do apologise, but Jock Goodyear, after being in contention for a podium, is now out.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to catch it on the live images. Unfortunately, yeah, he ran along his roof there, so super unfortunate there. Had some pretty good pace, so that has put him 2 laps down, all the way down the back.
And it's white flag for Daniel Hardigan and checkered flag for Daniel Hardigan. I mean, what more can you say about him? Joel Berkeley has managed to nab 2nd place from Harry Stewart. And there we go. Out comes the caution. And finishing in 6th place was Cameron Dance. So he will receive $10 thanks to Hobbo88.com. But Daniel Hardigan, after finishing 2nd in the feature at Lanier, now has a feature win to his name this season at Charlotte. Big congratulations for the number 83.
Yeah, and you can see how excited he is, just ripping a few donuts there on the infield, and great work there by Cameron Dance. Awesome drive there for 6th place. Yeah, as you can see, big loser out of that, unfortunately, there for Jock Goodyear, who was sitting almost for a podium.
Yeah, certainly was. Well, there we go. That's going to be the end of it. Hardigan and Berkeley, your top two, with Stewart completing the podium. Clayton Davies with a magnificent fourth place finish. Great drive from him, as well as Braden Shute. Started outside the top 20 and gets a fifth place finish for his troubles. Cameron Dance finishing in sixth, with Bradley Oldfield completing the top 7. Shame for Oldfield, he was certainly in contention for a podium himself. But James Rice, Max Lumsden, and Ethan Bastian round out the top 10 tonight. And we are going to bring in drivers for interviews to finish off the night. The first driver we're going to speak to is Daniel Hardigan. Welcome, Daniel. Certainly a great result for you here at Charlotte. You took the lead early on and just kept it.
Yeah, the car was a rocket ship. I was surprised. Yeah, I was waiting for the slick guys to come by me, but managed to, yeah, even when they were behind me, pull a couple second gap. So that was pleasing.
Just take us through your process there at the start of the race, because it certainly looked quite chaotic, and we had quite a few cautions here. How much do you think the slick track played into that?
Oh, the slick track's massive, but as you guys probably see, and everyone who watches, the racing actually gets better as the track gets slicker and people can pass and throw sliders, but you've got to be calculating and make sure you don't go too early and, yeah, race everyone with a bit of respect and you get it back.
You certainly do. Well, you were third place in the championship coming into this round on 1,797 points. With Lewis Hewitt retiring from the feature, there's definitely a chance that you're in contention for second place at least. But of course, we've still got to take into account the second drop round and the double points joker as well.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, last week my VR dropped out while I was running in fifth, so that would have killed my points a bit. But bit disappointing, but good way to come back and get the win.
Yeah, for sure. Before we let you go, Daniel Hardigan, who would you like to thank from your top spot on the podium? Who gets it done for you?
First of all, the lads at ODSE Sports, Bob, Gowie, Cam. Lewis wasn't there tonight, but yeah, Gowie and Cam were in the chat tonight helping out. Mother mate Cody, who helps me out a bit, and just our sponsors, Bunbury Kitchens, P1 Racewear, and Cricky Motorsport.
Daniel Hardigan, feature winner at the dirt track at Charlotte. Big congratulations to him. Next up, we're going to speak to what I would presume to be a much happier Joel Berkeley after Lanier. G'day, Joel. It's quite a good turnaround from last round, finishing second.
Yeah, I guess you could say so. I still haven't got the bloody system of not being in a B main out of me, but I mean CMBs, but yeah, it's 22nd to second on a track like Charlotte. I'll take it.
Yeah, certainly. How did you do it? Because certainly we were talking to Daniel Hardigan just before. He said the racing does get much better on slick tracks, and I know that that you can be a fan of slick tracks at times as well. It seemed like it was quite chaotic there in the midfield, but it looked like you were just taking advantage of incidents with other cars as the cautions came out.
Yeah, look, I think slick tracks provide a lot better racing, but when it's nothing against whatever we all ran tonight, but Charlotte just gets, I don't know, it got one lane around the top and it just makes it difficult at passing. Like, I think we had that stack up with about 10 to go and I thought it was all over there for me, but I guess that's just a cause of everyone pretty much being on the top, but it is what it is. And I mean, early on in the race, like getting through the field, I was trying to keep smooth and stay smart and yeah, just decided to roll the bottom and just, like, there was a bit of grip out turn two, and that's what I was making most of my passes. So just trying to stay smart and move forward where I could, and paid off at the end, and yeah, showed with a good result again. So stoked to walk away with a good one after the past few weeks, or past week.
Yeah, certainly. Just touching on that incident with 10 to go, what happened from your perspective? Because it did look like there was a bit of concertinaing going on.
In the car, it looked, honestly, I don't know what happened. But looking back at it, like, I think Hardigan just tagged what would be on corner entry, and it's just caused the stack up with Harry checking up, and I've checked up, and it's barely hooked my left front on the tail. I don't know how it's done it, and then yeah, it's caught up a ton of other people, which is unfortunate, but I guess that's part of racing, and we were a bit lucky to get through that. I feel like we're lucky compared to Brad, which he got the raw end of the stick and fell far back.
Yeah, certainly did. And your championship rival, Lewis Hewitt, retiring from the feature as well, which is certainly going to help your championship lead, at least before drop rounds and double points are applied. Before we let you go, Joel, is there anyone you'd like to thank from your position?
Yeah, I think we're in a pretty decent spot. If I make the feature next week, I might be all but good, because I think my drop rounds are 0-point rounds. So, I think we're looking decent, and look, massive thanks to the guys at Slick Sim Sport for all they do, and Brady and for all his efforts. You guys for broadcasting, and congrats to Dan on the win and Harry on third, and thanks to JD Webb for spawning me through that. I called on him because I was a bit worried on how it was going to go, but we thankfully got there, and hopefully not coming through a C main or B main next week. I'm a bit over it.
Well, we'll see what happens next week, Joel. Thank you very much for joining us. Our final driver interview of the night, our third place finisher, the number 11. It's Harry Stewart. Welcome, Harry. Fourth place in the championship coming into this round, so a third place in the feature is certainly nothing to sneeze at.
I wasn't as quick as I'd like to be tonight. I probably didn't deserve a third place. It's probably about 7 cars that were quicker than me on the top. I just sort of was in the right place at the right time with some of the yellows and the crashes. But yeah, it's still good for the points. I haven't really been paying attention because the last couple of weeks I've sort of had damage from about lap 1 and then just tried to get it home. But it's nice to have a straight car.
Yeah, certainly did, and it was an interesting start there with yourself and your teammate Bradley Oldfield initially, but it seemed like you were one of the most consistent position holders of the race. You managed to stay in and around that top 3 for the whole time. Was it just a case of getting your marks right and driving as hard as you could in between the cautions?
I think at the start the bottom probably helped me a bit because I knew the top would be probably quickest, and as soon as that bottom went away, the bottom actually stayed in a lot longer than I thought. But about halfway, I just sort of saw I was in, I think, second or third. I just tried to stay off the top of the cushion so I wouldn't be too bumpy and I'd lose it into the fence, or down the back straight, I'd just lose it. I just sort of tried to stay conservative, and then I saw Joel approach me very quick, so I just didn't want to get run over. So I pulled down to the bottom. So, yeah.
Well, certainly a great finish for you on the podium here at Charlotte. Next round is at Lernerville, and it is the final round of the championship. Your season so far, I reckon, has been pretty consistent despite the damage that you have suffered. So will you be looking back on this season with a little bit of regret or a little bit of nostalgia?
I think I'll just be, just regret that I sort of put myself in a position to get damage most of the weeks with bad quality efforts and just not doing enough laps during the week. So I think if I could have started, or maybe even got a better draw in the invert, some features, last couple of weeks have been good for me, but just a couple of things that haven't gone our way. So, but I still think we wouldn't have enough to be in front of Joel or Daniel or even Lewis after his disappointing race.
Well, a great result nonetheless, Harry, and you have the platform now to thank those who get it done for you.
I'd just like to thank everyone at United Sim Sports, KC, LD Cleaning, High Performance Videos, Origin Graphics, Ultimate Dirt TV, Valvoline, Too Easy Finance, Western Mazda, Paramour Isuzu Ute, and Natrad Radiators.
Harry Stewart, your third place finisher in the feature tonight at Charlotte. Well, Nick, that brings to an end proceedings for tonight, and our director Jay said in text chat, what a weird night of racing, and I'd be inclined to agree.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Good to see a few of the locals, though, getting that done. We did have, as we had at Lanier last week, all the wildcard entries were so strong, but great work there by Daniel Hardigan and Joel Berkeley. And Harry Stewart,
Certainly.
sorry.
Oh, yeah,
Not to-
for sure.
Not to forget him.
Yeah, of course. Hardigan, Berkeley, and Stewart once again, your top three. And that's when we say goodbye here at SimSpeed TV. But we have a championship to decide this time next week at Lernerville Speedway. Cannot wait to see who becomes the 2020 ASC Series champion. A big thanks to Oceanic Dirt Sim Events and SM Sim Sport for their support of this series, and a big thanks to Modem Simulation as well on the replays. I'm Reese Gardner, Nick Skariev in the commentary box with me, and Jay Kennedy making everything happen behind the scenes. From all of us at SimSpeed TV, bye for now, but not forever. We'll see you next week at Lernerville.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got really outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God.
Oh.
Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get involved.
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?